Welcome back to Football 301. I am your host, Nate Tice. Week 14 here, the final bye week. I'm sure some of you are really enjoying your fantasy teams and forgot all about that, just like I did with my Drake May teams and realizing I have a lot of games to play for with playing Marcus Mariota this week. You know, no one cares about your fantasy teams. That doesn't matter. But what we do care about is the Week 14 slate of games, which was, I think, chock full of interesting matchups because we have so many tight division and playoff races in both conferences. And we're going to get into that today with my guy, Mr. Thursday, Mr. Sunday night, Mr. Forverts, Charles McDonald. How you doing today, Chuck? Great to see you.
Doing pretty good. I was about to tell you on that fantasy comment because I have taken not caring about my own teams to a new level this year. I got a prescription to some app called like Fantasy Pros, and it links like all your teams, and you can just like basically have a conglomeration of experts just set your lineups for you. So I've actually checked my teams maybe like 3 times this season, but I have a little alarm on my phone Thursday, 8 p.m. to just go in there and click set lineups for all league. I just close out. I made the playoffs in 2 of them, so apparently they're doing pretty good.
The consensus is working for you. No, I know as my every year as I add another dynasty league and another redraft league, it's become like that where it's like I'm forgetting which one I'm checking. Oh shoot, that one. It's 5 my time, 5:12 Thursday night's about to kick off, and I'm like, oh god, do I want to start Alec Pierce or Christian Watson, as my final flex spot? No, I feel the same thing. But
I just thought I'm kind of done with that question for myself, and I don't care. Someone else do it for me. I still want the trash talk. I still want to play, but I'm kind of oversetting my lineups.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, and also it gives you a little buffer. Well, somebody to blame. Yeah. Like, oh gosh, exactly. The experts, God, just what? Oh man, morons. I know. No, I like that. Yeah, it just gives you a little leeway there for picking up those lineups. I know, but having to pick up Trevor Lawrence in one league and Marcus Mariota in another league because I have Drake May and I need these wins this week was it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the Trevor Lawrence love is going to really, I'm really pot committed this week on him. But that is actually one of the games we're going to talk about. It's a great transition, actually, because we're going to get lost in the sauce with 3 great games. Then we have a big dog of the week, which we haven't talked about in a sec. And then we got cheat sheet and Hail Marys at the end of the game. But it's time to get lost in the sauce. This is where we take a deep dive on our 3 favorite games of the week. And there are a lot of games with playoff implications this week, which makes sense. But remember last year, there's a lot of games in the last month of the season where teams kind of had it locked up. We had some sitting starters. We got Carson Wentz start in week 18, amongst other games that happened. But we're going to start in the AFC South. The Colts and the Jags, where Trevor Lawrence is starting. The Jags are 1.5-point underdogs in Jacksonville at home. The over-under is 47.5. Nice number there. We'll start when the Colts have the ball, coming off a loss against the Texans, going against this Jaguars defense. They might have Travon Walker back, which is interesting. That it might help a lot. But going against a Colts team that can still run the ball, even if they hit a little bit of a wall last week, and kind of trying to figure out some answers, even though I don't think the questions are that crazy right now. But what do you think about this side of the ball? What do you have for me, Chuck?
This part is interesting. I think a big chunk of this game comes down to like the health of Travon Walker. Because I think our buddy John Shipley, who does a great job covering the Jaguars, said that Travon was back at practice. Yes, Travon was back at practice today on Thursday, which usually means he's probably going to try and suit up this weekend. And I think that's huge for them because like the one part of this Colts offense that's still consistently working like as it should is Jonathan Taylor. He has been really good throughout all this. I don't think his play has dipped, even though the total like output of the offense has fallen down a little bit. So if they can get Walker back on the field, like he to me is one of like the special run defenders in the league, and he's gotten a lot better as a pass rusher. But if you go back to their game against the 49ers earlier this year, and what he did to Colt McKivitz on like the few plays he was in the game before he got hurt was just it would have been on like what was that liveleak.com, that horrible website that got shut down like back when we were kids. Like that's what that tape looked like, liveleak.com stuff. So if they can get him back, like they have a chance to hold the That's deep cut millennial reference right there.
Well,
deep
when you said it, also it was just like me and like however old I was, 16, just all the images that I should not have seen. Just hit me right there.
Exactly like Travon Walker versus Colt McKivitz, stuff like that. It's not good for your brain to digest. But I started looking at this kind of stat, I guess, window, because at first I was looking for Jacoby Myers games, like since he had gotten to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
But then, it just popped out everything for the Colts defense, Colts offense, Jags defense. Over the past month, the Jags defense is third in total EPA, fourth in EPA per play, fourth in EPA per drop back, 20th in EPA per rush. So It's kind of weird because, like, yes, the Jags defense has been good against the pass, but Daniel Jones already isn't playing well. So, like you're kind of already walking into it and expect the advantage there. And Jonathan Taylor is still playing well, and the Jags rush defense has been, little hit or miss recently. So if you can get Walker back and kind of stop the run, I think they can have a pretty good day offensively because, I think broken leg Daniel Jones looked like broken leg Daniel Jones last week to me. What wasn't his best outing.
He had it's the thing with him is I'm trying to think of maybe a good comparison for him when someone's healthy, but like right now, pressure kind of discombobulates him, and that's what gets kind of magnified when he is with his leg right now, because there's times where he had a couple great throws last week, but it was just because he was clean and he was feeling in rhythm. Right. And so to me it was like, all right, well, it's the common math problem of every football game in the NFL is, can you get pressure, and can you get pressure with 4? And I was looking up the Jags because even though Josh Hines Allen has had like some real nice moments and he's really good on twists and everything, the pressure that the Jaguars create isn't really overwhelming. They're 28th in knockdown rate, 28th in sack rate. They more or less are the same whether they blitz or don't blitz. They're middle of the pack pressure rate. So it's not like I can just go, oh yeah, well, they can just heat up Daniel Jones and he'll make a bunch of mistakes, because they might not have that component to their defense. I think what that Jaguars defense has done really is just it's well game planned. Like they're really sound with some stuff. Like they really try to do, I shouldn't say sound because they can get a little funky, but they really try to on 3rd and 4th down bait you into some stuff. They have some funky looks that they get into. They're really game plan heavy, meaning that week to week they change it up based on how they get after you. And this is a great game because I'll talk about this on the other side of the ball, is that when they blitz, it's a lot of zone blitzes. When the Colts blitz, it's a lot of man blitzes. That's why blitzes are all just a little different, and how quarterbacks operate against them is a little bit different. But I'm glad you brought up that stat, the run game stat, because overall the Jags have been pretty good against the run, but it has felt like they're a little leaky with Walker out. So that's like that stat matched it like perfectly. Like probably when he's been on the field, they've been pretty good on it. So like, I don't think the Colts all of a sudden are like, oh my God, this is a bottom 10 offense. Told you, total pumpkin case. Like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I think it's more just like, okay, they came back to earth a little bit. They're coming somewhere in between one of the best offenses we've seen in 20 years to, average, which they've kind of played the last couple of weeks. They're probably somewhere in between, which is kind of to be expected. Still will sound, still has all those things. This side of the ball, it was really, I almost had it like my first line on this is a proving ground game. I think it's just whoever is more sound. I know that sounds stupid. It sounds kind of basic. Jaguars doesn't allow a lot of explosives, which is one component of their game that's pretty nice. And the Colts have generated a lot of explosives. How do they handle Alec Pierce's deep speed is big, because remember the Jags game against the Seahawks? They let Alec Pierce is not JSN, but right. They let JSN go deep on some plays. Like they really were getting after the safeties of the Jaguars. And I'm curious if the Colts can get to there. I think their protection could hold up pretty well, that they're able to, where Daniel Jones can have the time to attack down the field. Because like I said, I don't think the Jaguars generate a ton of pressure. They're fine, but it's just not like an overwhelming thing that they have. I think the games that the Colts have really kind of been discombobulated was, Alex Highsmith absolutely dominating Bernard Raymond when they played the Steelers. The Rams getting pressure, especially up the middle. A few things they did. And then even last week with the Texans, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and they got moved around a little bit, and they're real kind of a little pepper and create a little pressure, a little uneasiness. So really, it's just who does their thing better. I wish I had something better in that, but that's really how this side of the ball is. I think the Colts offense is good, and I think the Jags defense is solid. That's how I'll kind of end up with it. They have a couple of weaknesses, but they're well game planned.
Yeah, and even like when you look back at the last month, like you still have to take maybe some of the results with a grain of salt because they had that 35-6 win over the Chargers, which I can even call them the zombie team in that game, is probably a little bit like underhanded based on where they were.
Them.
And the Titans last week, who were just completely just dead on offense and couldn't really get anything going. So, I'm with you. Like, they're more solid probably than like top 5 unit than they posted for the past month. So I think there's chances for the Colts to, especially if Walker's like still banged up, because like their run defense, I just flipped through it. It's like marginally better when Walker's on the field, a lot fewer explosive runs, a few more runs that go for 0 yards. But overall, like they drop from 40%, they have a 37% success rate when he's on the field, 40% when he's off. So it's not like crazy difference, but that could be enough for Jonathan Taylor if you have 100% where he can break one. And you're kind of off to the races, and then you're in a game where you're in a shootout a little bit, because I still think the Colts, they should be able to score on this defense, even though they have struggled a little bit, I guess is where I'm at with though.
Yeah, I don't think they'll blow them out of the water. They'll have it's right. Kind of, I don't know. I feel like I'm copping out here, but that's kind of how this side of the ball is. It's I don't know. I don't want to say evenly matched, but it just feels like each will have their moments. Like I just really do feel that way. Where I don't know. Campanella has done some good job. I've been really impressed with some of his coverage stuff he does on third downs because he changes it up. And so I'm curious if he just catches Jones on one. But when Jones sees it right and he's in rhythm, he's playing really good football. But that's the thing. You just have to make him hold on to the football, make him double clutch, make him move off his launch point. Again, easier said than done. So I'm more just curious how the Jaguars try to accomplish that this week. I think the other side of the ball is even more interesting. Jaguars offense, Colts defense. Sauce Gardner is still out with the calf strain, not an Achilles, which is really good. I believe he's going to be out for 2 weeks, if I saw correctly, but at least this week. Wyatt Millam, rookie from West Virginia. He played tackle at West Virginia. He's going to play guard, I think, this week for the Jags. Curious how he plays. He kind of had an up and down day going against the Texans, not the Texans defensive line. Who the frick did the Jags play last week?
Titans.
Titans, thank you. Oh, Jeffrey Simmons. Duh. Jeffrey Simmons. That's right. I was like, who did he play? Because it was a good D tackle. Jeffrey Simmons. Yeah, red sleeves. He got him a couple times. But so going against this week, it's DeForest Buckner's still out, and this defense really misses DeForest Buckner. And I'm curious if the run game can keep churning. Because I don't know. I don't think the Colts run defense is that great. And really, they're just more of it's a Lou Anarumo defense. It almost feels like the Bengals a little bit when he was there, where it's not a perfect defense. I would say it's more average, but they have really good game plan stuff. And that's what Lou Anarumo's calling card is, especially once it comes playoff time. I mean, this is basically a playoff game, is that like all of a sudden that third, fourth down stuff, I'll get into it, but that's where you can really feel his presence and his game planning and how fast the players play and how they can discombobulate an offense. But is there anything you're focusing on this side of the ball, maybe how the Jaguars can get after the Colts D?
Well, I think the Buckner loss is he supposed to play this week or?
No, he's out. He's on IR again.
All right, he's on IR. Like that's been so big for them because that's kind of where Lou is probably feeling a little deja vu. Back to the Bengals, not as extreme, but you're like, oh man, I don't have a dude anymore. Okay, because their offensive, like since he's been out, they're 25th in EPA per play, 24th in success rate on rushing attempts. So I think that if you can keep Trevor clean, we've seen since they've added Jacoby Myers, they're a lot more stable in the passing game. I mean, like people think we're crazy, but like just having someone who can catch the passes. Who can catch?
I went on a whole rant about it earlier this week, dude.
like one thinks Jacoby Myers is like an elite receiver thing, but he catches the ball and he is where he's supposed to be, which is a big upgrade for where this offense is. I think it's interesting that they're still 22nd EPA per drop back, but they're 7th in success rate. So like you're still getting some of the goofy Jaguars nonsense. Like they're 28th in turnover rate still since Jacoby Myers has gotten there. So I think that's probably why you're seeing some of the EPA drop. But I mean, if you can keep Trevor clean and then just pepper them enough, you're just kind of moving down the field at your own pace. Now that you have a more steady wide receiver hand, maybe they can play a little ball control. Maybe it's another one of those 245 games, but I still think the loss of DeForest Buckner might be a little bit too much for this Colts defense kind of overcome down the stretch because like the numbers with him off the field have just been pretty bad. Like they're close to a below average defense, not getting a whole lot of pressure, really bad on third down. So that's I think this is the advantageous matchup for like the Jaguars offense in their own right, because they don't have that force in the middle. And I think, you know, they're still in the spot with their rebuild where it's like we're competent, but we know we can get a lot better, especially up front. Not having to deal with DeForest Buckner, I think, is a huge deal. And I think it could help them win the game when it's all said and done, because I don't know who exactly on this Colts front is like really supposed to scare you from a penetration standpoint outside of Buckner.
That's kind of what it is that do I fully trust the Jaguars offensive line? Not really. That's why I think is going to still be a bugaboo. And that's also just led to further conversations about like the whole AFC though is like this. But it's, they, I think you kind of hinted at it. It's that like, they know that too. And Trevor gets rid of the ball quick. They do a lot of movement throws. I think the run game is sound. Like it's not the Doug Peterson era where they're just running into loaded boxes and it's just the comedy of errors. I think Bashal Tutin's been good for him. I'm a big fan of his game, and I think they like him a lot too. LaQuinn Allen's been awesome in protection, and then ETN's ETN. Like, and has had some actually. I actually think he's been way better this year than he has been in the past.
Sam,
but it's not that Colts defense though. Like you said, it hasn't been like that great against the pass when especially when Sauce Gardner isn't there, and then just really against the run when DeForest Buckner isn't in there. So that's where. I'm just curious what this final result of them is. Like, I know what the game plan is going to be. The game plan is going to be good, and I'm going to understand why Lou Enromo does it. He's probably going to catch Lawrence once or twice. He kind of catches every quarterback once or twice. I say CJ Stroud had a great game last week against it. And that's kind of like how Stroud played last week had me really kind of, this was the thread I pulled at. The Colts run a lot of man coverage, which is, you know, I actually was, Leon Romo kind of does a little bit of everything. So, but they're top 10 in man coverage. They're and on late downs, on third and fourth down. This is really the focus of this game for me, or this side of the ball for me. It's third and fourth down. On man coverage, on third and fourth down, the Colts run man coverage at the 6th highest rate. They blitz at the 9th highest rate. Their 15th success rate when they're in man, 12th in EPA per play. Kind of feels about right. The Jags against man coverage, 16th in success rate, 9th in explosive pass rate. Jacoby Myers, since he's gotten there, and really just overall, he's the highest targeted player against man coverage. A lot of overs, a lot of crossers. Those are the same plays the Texans last week had success against the Colts with. So it's an easy translation, I think, of they can copy that game plan. They can implement their own versions. Before Jacoby Myers was there against man coverage, it was a lot of go balls to BTJ, which are 50-50 balls at best. So that kind of led some inconsistencies. Now you got Myers working across the middle. And I brought the stat up last week or earlier this week with Matt. Since Myers has gotten there, the Jags are 7th in passing success rate, 11th in explosive passes. Before Myers got there, weeks 1 through 9, they're 27th in passing success rate. They got up nearly 7% in passing success rate, which is significant. But then I looked at the blitzes because the Colts bring a heavy amount of blitzes on third and fourth down. That's what Lou Enromo likes to do. He likes to just funky it up. And I looked at the Colts this year. When they blitz, they're 5th in sack rate, 3rd in EPA per play, 5th in passing success rate, 5th in explosive play rate allowed. They only allow a 20% conversion rate on third down when they blitz, which is second best in the NFL. 70%, so nearly 2/3 of the time, 7 out of 10 times, it's either cover 1, cover 0 when they blitz. So like I said, I just mentioned this with the Jag side. They run a lot of zone when they blitz. Colts run a lot of man. They get into dime personnel and they run a lot of man. I like the Jags better with Myers in there, because now you got a couple options. You got Strange, you got Myers, you got BTJ, all valid man beaters. And the Jags against the blitz this year, they're 16th in success rate, or I should say Trevor Lawrence. The thing is, and this is it. I mean, you hinted at it. I've talked about it. You get those Trevor Lawrence, I'm kind of Jameis Winston moments. He's bottom 5 in interceptions per attempt against the blitz. So he finds a lot of good plays, 16th success rate, 10th in explosive play rate, doesn't take a ton of sacks, they're middle of the pack sack rate, but he'll get picked every once in a while. I'm thinking if it's man coverage, that makes it a little easier for him. So he's not trying one of those hero throws. But this is really what the game comes down to, or this side of the ball to me. The run game, I think the Jags will have some moments, but how Trevor Lawrence operates against the blitz and who wins against man coverage, Sauce Gardner's out, is going to really kind of, I think, be the kind of pivot point of this game, or really the crux of this game.
Yeah, I got one more. There's one more thread that I pulled from the Jacoby Myers stuff. Because it just felt like they had been a little bit
Football
more.
301 favorite Jacoby Myers.
I know.
And Matt, man. And we're serious though. Like he's significantly upgraded this team.
You just need some competency sometimes. Not ask for a world beater. Can you run there and can you catch the ball?
That's it.
So
reliability.
So before Jacoby Myers got there, so for the first 9 games of the season, the Jaguars, they basically had like one of the worst quick passing games in the NFL. So I just filtered all throws for under 2.5 seconds for the first 9 weeks of the season. The 30th in EPA per play, 20th in success rate, 30th in conversion for a first down. They were towards the bottom of the league in air yards per attempt for 4.1 over the past month. Since Jacoby Myers has gotten there, they're first in air yards per attempt on quick passing at 7.3 yards. First in first down conversion rate, 54.3%. Third in explosive pass rate at 15%. Fourth in success rate at 63% on quick passes. So I think the air yards per attempt is maybe the most interesting because like you're up +3 since Myers has gotten there.
Yeah.
But I think it makes sense because like it's not like they're scared to throw it over there, but when you don't trust your players, it's not.
Yep.
It's just not going to be clean. So maybe you're dumping it down a little bit more. But unfortunately, like you said, turnover's still there. They got the highest interception rate over the past month since on quick passing. Jacoby Myers has gotten there. Trevor's thrown 4. 8.7%. That's like could you stop doing that stuff, man? Just like you go brain dead like bonkers once a game that makes people think you suck when I know you don't suck, so just do the normal stuff. But yeah, like since Jacoby Myers has gotten there, that's really changed their passing game so far.
He has, and I even rewatched this last game against, I know it's the Titans, but he has 4, 5, 6 throws that like as good as anybody. Like and it's just so clean, everything. And then he has 2 to 3 every game where I'm just like, I don't know, guys. I don't know why he threw it. I don't know why he did that. Because everyone tags me whenever something bad happens with Trevor Lawrence. And I just even looked like we're just combining the notes now. So man coverage blitzes. I was like, hey, I actually should just even look at man blitzes. This is just so perfect. Trevor, 9th in success rate, 6th in explosive passes, 26th in EPA per play or an EPA per dropback against man blitzes, because just like we're saying, he finds it, but then he gets picked off. He has 12.9% interception per pass attempt rate. So that's dead last in the NFL. So that you just don't usually see that where a highly successful, tons of explosives, and then the EPA is really bad. That usually that means turnovers are happening. So maybe Myers cleans that up, but who knows? But I'm excited to see them operate. It was really cool to see Stroud last week, and those Texans receivers and pass protection really have like a really nice game. And I want to see if Trevor can kind of do the same and have a consistent game against this, because they're going to heat them up. Like they're going to try it, and they're going to run man coverage and dare them to beat them. So it's just kind of like who outperforms the other. All right, predictions: Jags 1.5 point underdogs at home.
Oh man. That feels right. I'm just gonna roll the home team. I'm gonna go Jaguars. I can't decide, so I'm just gonna go home field advantage, go Jags, even though it's not really a thing anymore in the NFL.
Even though the Colts I'm gonna go with the Jags too, but I don't feel great about it. It's more just that they're at home. I'm the same way as you. Yeah, I don't feel great about it. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go with Jags as well, even though the Colts are favorites. So Jags, both of us. You can yell at us afterwards. With the Jags, they are currently 83% chance to make the playoffs according to Next Gen Stats. They win, it gets up to 96%. If they lose, it's 75%. The Colts, 72%. If they win, it gets up to 86%. If they lose, it gets down to 55%. So pretty more significant for the Colts than the Jags slightly, but it's still a huge game in the AFC South and the AFC overall. All right, moving on to our next game. This one's in the NFC. Classic game. The NFC Central, the NFC North, whatever the NFL was called. The AAFP, I can't remember what they were originally called, but Bears at Packers. Packers are nearly a touchdown favorites, 6.5 point favorites at home at Lambeau Field. This is going to be a fun one. Afternoon game as well, which will be great. The over-under is 44.5. This feels right. We're going to start with the road team has the ball, the Chicago Bears, and this is our Hoss Fight of the week. Bears offense, Packers defense. We got one of the most explosive offense in the NFL. The Bears are third in explosive play rate. The Packers are fourth in explosive play rate allowed. We got, yes, two good units. I feel like I just have to keep yelling this out and saying this every week until people believe me. This is a top 10 offense going against a top 10 defense. A good O-line. Yes, the Bears have a good O-line going against the Packers, who have Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary. Devontae Wyatt is now out, I believe, on injured reserve again. So we have some injuries up front for the Packers, but these are two good units going at it. Where do you want to start on this side of the ball, Chuck?
So I guess I want to continue where we left off on the Jaguars discussion with some like the quick passing game for the Bears, because I kind of understand like why people are looking at, if you've like watched the Bears play on national TV recently, I kind of understand like if you're a little iffy on Caleb Williams' accuracy, just because like they still have plays where it's just like, how did the ball like not get near anyone? And I think a lot of times they're still just kind of figuring out like landmarks and timing, and maybe some receivers don't care as much as they used to when they played in Charlotte, and they're trying to figure that part out too. But they actually have been like a pretty good like quick passing team this whole season. I think that that's been one of like the coolest improvements I think for Caleb's game. And obviously when did you see what Michael Parsons did last week? I guess you might not want to hold on to the ball there. Like I know Caleb's got, he's been like this magician pressure the sack guy. I don't know if you want to try all that this week. We'll
different kind of speed, different
animal,
different kind of speed. That Michael Parsons guy,
different kind of strength too. You might not shrug that one off when he gets his paws on you. Nope. But this year, when the Bears, when they throw the ball less than 2.5 seconds, 7th in EPA per drop back, 4th in explosive pass rate, 12%, barely throwing any interceptions, 4th in yards per drop back. The Packers defense is closer to like middle of the pack when it comes to defending those. So maybe this is an area where they can have some success while also keeping number one off of them. Because man, like Micah has been an absolute terror this season, and last week was one of his best games. And it's like, because I was talking to some of my dad's friends who are also Bears fans, and they're like, yeah, we like Micah Parsons, like we're gonna handle that. I was like, yeah, your O-line's better, but like there's better, and then there's first ballot Hall of Famer that we've known as the first ballot Hall of Famer since he was like 22 years old. So if you,
different animal, man.
different animal. But if you can just kind of keep him upright and get the ball out of hands quick, then I think that there's a lot of success for the Bears here, because like Ben Johnson, like he's just been in his bag recently. I think he's finally got like his grips on the strengths and weaknesses of this personnel, and really just like his offense as a whole. Like we talked about last week on the recap show, with some of the run game wrinkles that he's throwing in just to keep everyone honest on the back end are really cool. So like they're still kind of coming together on that part, but they should, like, I trust them to have at least a plan that makes sense to go after this Packers defense and keep Caleb Williams alive. But I think that quick passing game and obviously the run game, we saw them run for almost 300 yards against the Eagles on Thanksgiving. And that was no fluke. Like they really just bulldozed them off the ball repeatedly. So the run game plus quick passing plus the play action, like they have a lot they can throw at you, but you need to get rid of the ball quick because Micah Parsons is on a mission right now.
Yeah. And the Packers run so much zone coverage, which is interesting too, because I think that's a good little point too, because like against those zone coverages, you can hit flats, you can hit some stuff underneath. They're a really good tackling team. That's something that's been kind of underrated with this Packers defense. Micah Parsons is just incredible. But guys like Evan Williams, I mean, just the back end, the back seven. So they just put a lot of bodies near the football. They're tied first in missed tackle rate. And this was a stat at kind of the thread. So this is kind of like I like this because I agree. Like brought this up on Tuesday talking about Caleb, is when you just remove screens, he's averaging almost 10 yards per air yard per attempt, 9.9, which is, I think it was fifth highest. And the only guys above him were a bunch of part-time guys. So it was like Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, like guys that haven't started the full year. So he's chucking it. And I think Luther Burden has turned into a really nice screen weapon for them, which makes sense. That's what he was at Mizzou. And now his game's really come along. He's like a good blocker, which I kind of didn't really give him credit for because he never really had to do it at Mizzou. But yeah, he's actually turned into like a nice, like, I don't know. Luther Burden's really coming on for me, even though he's a little sloppy with some of the routes right now. But the Packers, though, back to the point, is this some strength on strength. I'm glad you brought this up because this is the kind of thread I looked at too. I was like, do they start kind of peppering them underneath, get rid of the ball? Don't let Micah Parsons take over the game. That's kind of what you do. And there's a difference between Ben Johnson Lions and Ben Johnson Bears, where like any good coach, he leans into his players' personnel. I got David Montgomery. I'm pounding the rock between the tackles and get Jahmyr Gibbs better. And I'm doing all these plays with him. I got DeAndre Swift, who actually has been a little bit better. I will give him credit for it. But let's get it to the outside. Let's get stuff to the outside and let him use his vision there, or lack of vision there. But I do think that their screen game has gone from, with the Lions, it was one of the heaviest screen usages, to more middle of the pack. And attacking underneath has kind of dropped off as well. You see Goff just throwing all these screens and stuff. But the Packers, first in missed tackle rate. They're third in the NFL in group tackle opportunities, which is a next-gen stat, which is just exactly what it sounds like. How many group tackles, multiple guys at the ball on the first tackle opportunity. They are third in that. But the thing that's cool about it is their average first opportunity depth. So this is the first time the defender is at the football, is 3.6 yards. Might be a little bit of a Micah Parsons stat. Don't get me wrong here. Might be a little bit of Micah Parsons stat here. It's 3.6, which is third as well. And so when I combine that group opportunity stat, the teams above them, because I said they're third, have 4.8 and 4.4. The Packers are at 3.6, nearly a full yard shorter, closer to the line of scrimmage than those other teams. So not only are they getting a lot of hands on the ball, bodies on the ball, they're doing it at shallow distances. So it's a lot of throw and close, throw close. You just get a bunch of guys swarming. That's what good zone. This is what the Bills defense did for years. Under McDermott, it's kind of tapered off a little bit. But when they're going against all the zone, Caleb's been pretty good against the zone. It's kind of the same stats against man against zone. High explosive pass rate, middling success rate, because they just go for those chunks. So I'm right there with you. Do they attack underneath? Do they say, hey, we're going to try and wad it up and double team Micah, have Chip help and get all this stuff? And they might do that too. Just kind of, I think it's going to be a run heavy game script for the Bears with a lot of under center play action and then a lot of quick hitters, like you said. I think it's going to look more Lions like, and I mean that in a good way, than maybe what they've been doing the last month or 2 months in this season too. So I'm right there with you that it's an interesting matchup. It really is. Like the Bears offense is rolling. It's not all perfect, but going against this Packers defense, I think is still better than people are giving them credit for.
Yeah, the timing of this matchup is interesting because that Devontae White injury is pretty big for the Packers. I think. Like I thought he had started to play some good football, and even like on the play he got hurt, man. They beat the Lions O-line so bad that like the mangled mess of their just carnage on the ground kind of got him caught up and he ended up getting hurt. That's an injury is going to knock him out for the rest of the season. So like maybe you kind of catch him like a transitional week and you can kind of pound it a little bit, but I really like it's going to feel like a throwback football game. I think like the old like West Coast stuff, going to play in like a short area of the field. We're not going to let Micah kill us, and try to maybe. I don't know if they can dunk your way down the field is the right way to phrase it, but I guess be a little bit more careful with the ball because we know that the Packers, like they can get their hands on the ball really well as we've seen like over the past couple of years. And I think one of the most like interesting part of this game is it's like one of the best Yak offenses versus like the best Yak defense in the league. So like this season, on the short throws, like where we're just filtering out all throws under 2.5 seconds. The Packers are first in yards after catch per completion, 4.2 yards. Bears are third at 6.6. Bears offense is third at 6.6 yards. So that's going to be like a cool little, I guess players make the game moment because someone's going to have to make someone's have to make guys, get guys down the open field. And those are kind of like some of like the coolest matchups. And you're like, okay, coach, you set it up. Players go finish it. And we're going to get a lot of that as the NFC North could be kind of decided this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions tonight. We're recording this Thursday morning, but the Lions tonight going against the Cowboys. That's a loser leaves town match, more or less. So I mean, full on. I know. I'm right where you're saying that yak stat, the tackling stats. That's what I think is so cool about this side of the ball. It's like I think both teams know what the other team wants to do. All right, who executes? Like who makes them one tackle miss? Who does Caleb have a hero throw? Does he beat the blitz? Does the offensive line play well? The Devontae Wyatt thing, I looked up the on-off field stats for him because he's, he's not like a total plugger. He's not like just this big nose tackle that eats up. But when he's on the field, rushing success rate wise, they allow 32%, 31.8%. And when he's off the field, they allow 40% rushing success rate. So they go from good, very good, I'd even say, to average-ish. 40% is kind of the mark you want to get to as an offense, and as a defense, you want to lower it than 40%. But the thing is that's interesting, and I didn't really study why this is. Explosive run rate when Devontae Wyatt is on the field is 10%. When he's off the field, it's 2.8%. That's interesting, right? Like, so they're a lot more stout, but they allow more busts when Wyatt's on the field. And I got to look more into it. Why, it might be personnel, might be just the down and distances that was on. But I just thought that was interesting. They get more pressures with Wyatt on the field. They get more stuffs with them off the field. So, yeah, just an interesting thing because now it's on Carl Brooks, who I really like, but he's more of a gap shooter. And then Colby Wooden, who I actually think has had some nice moments this year, but they have to pick up the slack because the Bears are going to test it. That's the strength of their offense right now is pounding it through the middle pounding it with those three interior guys and Darnell Wright. And Ozzie Trapilo has been pretty solid. But he's got to hold on to his hat if he has to go against Micah Parsons. That's a rookie day 2 pick at left tackle. That's not the easiest ask, but that's the NFL. The other little thing I just want to add before we go to the other side of the ball, the other thing that Ben Johnson's been doing with the Bears, that he did with the Lions, they run the ball a lot on third and medium and long. On 3rd and 3+ this year, they have the 4th highest design run rate, and it's perfect because who's in 5th? The Lions. They have almost the exact same percentage, 16.9%, and they have a 52% success rate on those runs. So that's another little thing on 3rd down. Okay, Micah Parsons moving around. Is he going over the nose? Or they'll just wad it up and pound the rock on them. So that's another little thing. Look for those like 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7s, just to make Micah think, make Micah slow down, make Micah have to actually play the run and get caught up. So really look for that on 3rd down too in this game. I think it'll be pretty fun. All right, Packers have the ball. Bears defense. What you think about this side of the ball, Chuck?
Oh man, I feel like this could just be a massive Jordan Love game. I mean, most of these games have been massive Jordan Love games this season. And
you can do that.
Yeah, it's just like that game last week against the Lions, like that was just perfect. I mean, like eye test, advanced numbers, like he was like out of this world good. And
it's one of the best QB performances of this entire year by anybody.
Yes.
Yeah. It was unbelievable.
It's funny because people are rolling in on Thanksgiving Day and they're asking me, you know how it goes. They just get peppered with football opinions about what's going on. So I'm getting asked by one of my brother's friends, like, rank your top 10 quarterbacks. I said Jordan Love at 5 or 6 or something like that. I don't remember. He was like, what? I was like, I get it because you probably just watch him against the Panthers launch one halfway across the field straight to a DB who just drops it. That would have been like a 105-yard pick six. I get it, but he doesn't do it all that often. Not all that often, to the point where it's just you've seen it in the worst moments. But overall, he's still one of the most ridiculously efficient quarterbacks down and down. And they're getting so many chunks that even last week we have a game where the completion percentage wasn't high. He's still a 98 QBR for the 98 out of 100 QBR last week. The throw to Isaac was ridiculous. The touchdown throw to Wicks was absurd. It's he's really on his game. And I just don't know, when the Bears get into the very scary late downs for them, I don't know how they're supposed to get a stop really. I don't think I just don't think they have the horses for how good Love has been recently. I mean, they've been below average pass defense, and Love is they've torched just about everyone through the air. So as long as he avoids the dumb stuff that makes people dubious of his skills, I I think that they're going to score a whole lot of points in this game because he's just got such a severe talent advantage over where the Bears defense is right now.
That was even so. Kyler Gordon being back is so huge for the Bears. Like they need that so bad. Like Jaden Reed might play for the Packers, and he's primarily a slot player, but it's also like not the greatest week for him to come back because he has to go against Kyler Gordon. When Kyler Gordon's been on the field, and if you guys want to hear me again, this is something I talked about on Tuesday. When they're on the field, the Bears are 4th in passing success rate allowed. When he's been off the field this year, which has been a lot, they're 28th in passing success rate allowed. So they go from bottom 5 to top 5 when he's on the field. Again, matchups matter, but just in your head, they go from bad to good when he's on the field, and they blitz a lot more. They become the 2nd most blitz happy team in the NFL when Kyler Gordon's on the field. A lot of zone coverages. I would never blitz Jordan Love. He is strong in the pocket. He's tough in the pocket. The Packers have great protection scheme, a very sound protection scheme. You have to win with a guy winning one-on-one. Maybe Austin Booker has an advantage here. Maybe Montez Sweat. Maybe someone in the middle. But protection-wise, they are very sound. Jordan Love is very sound with it too. And he's just so, I'll say, aggressive against the blitz. He is chucking. He chucks that thing. So it's really, do you want to live that way? Like, really? You want to do this? Okay. Like I as a defense coordinator, I wouldn't really blitz him much. I'd be like, make him be methodical. Maybe we'll catch him going against this. But and so like Jalen Johnson was back too, who's a great corner, a very good corner, I'll say. And so, but that's still the thing. There's still things that this Packers offense can pick at. The run game's efficient, which I think is more the bugaboo for the Bears defense, is I don't think they're still great against the ground on the ground. The other thing too, and our friend Justice has talked about this a little bit in our group chat, but you mentioned this. Packers have the most explosive passing game in the NFL, just numbers wise. They're 1 out of 5 pass plays is explosive, which is absurd.
Ridiculous.
They're like 19%. Seeing a lot of outbreakers from the Packers now. They, that was one of the things that loved to throw, and LaFleur liked to call a lot of dagger concepts, which is a seam route, a dig behind it, an inbreaker behind it. They love throwing those. Now we're seeing more and more outbreakers. So corner routes, comebacks, and out routes. I looked at this on True Media. He's thrown 103 of these this year. He's 2nd in the NFL in success rate on outbreaking routes. 66% of his outbreaking routes have led to a successful play, which is absolutely absurd. Anything above 50 is elite. And he's at 66%. First in EPA per dropback on those, almost a half point of EPA added every time he throws an outbreaker this year. He's accumulated 61.1 EPA on outbreaking routes, which is first. The league average is 15.8. Like he's chugging that thing on outbreakers, and Dobbs is good at them. Now we're seeing Wicks was catching the ball actually on them, and then you got Watson as the deep guy. And I looked it up because the Bears defense is improved with Kyler Gordon out there. They're getting healthier and they're getting a little bit better. They're good on third down. The Packers are good on third down. At least they get to a lot of third downs. But the Bears defense against outbreaking routes, 31st in success rate allowed, 63.7%, 8 yards per attempt, 26th in explosive passes allowed, 16.3%. So look for those outbreakers, especially, like I said, they like to blitz more with Kyler Gordon. Usually outbreakers is how you beat the blitz because of how the leverage is of the coverage players, moving from inside to out. So look for a lot of outbreakers from Jordan Love, and I think that's just been churning for them. So while I do think the Bears defense is improving and they're getting healthier, and I do think that they'll end up being fine, like more middle of the pack, this Packers offense, man, and that quarterback, man, like they can do a lot of damage if you're not on your game, if you're not on your P's and Q's.
Yeah, it's funny, I was going through like some of the similar route data because I realized I misspoke earlier because I meant to say that first and second down were bad for the Bears defense, not third and fourth down. Like they're good late down.
I got you.
Really bad. Yeah, really bad early down. So I was looking at like, all right, well, what if they just, there's you start sifting through the Packers passing in data and it's all good basically, but there was one area that I wonder if they kind of go after, like early down shot plays, and specifically I just looked at go routes, first to second down. The Bears have seen the 25th most go routes on first to second down. They've seen 30 attempts. You have 16 for 30. That 53% completion rate is 30th in the NFL. EPA per dropback, 0.68 per go route on early downs targets. The Packers are averaging 0.82. EPA per drop back on go routes to early downs. Like, they are one of the best teams in the league at flinging that thing down the field on early downs. And the Bears are one of the worst, like by far one of the worst teams in the league at defending early down explosive pass attempts. So, man, if you can if you can like get out the gates like right away and just kind of dominate that first or second down matchup, because that's where the Bears have been bad this year. And unfortunately, like, that's the most stable thing that you can bet on. Like, what are you doing with like downs that you're guaranteed to have for the first and second down? Guaranteed to have those unless you get a turnover. They just have been really, really bad there. And like you I guess rely too much on like these high leverage plays, third, fourth down to get off the field. I just don't think that's going to fly against a quarterback like this, and the offense is playing this well. And we talked about before, Christian Watson and those guys, like, they're not world beaters, but they're better than they were in the past, and that's good enough for Jordan Love. Like,
Matt and I talked about this.
Wide receivers, time a dozen, find them anywhere.
Matt and I talked about this though. Like, Watson is so much better than the way he's been in the past. So much better. And contested catches, he's still not amazing at it, but still contested catches, just come down with stuff. I mean, they ran the out and up to him. That's a great point, Chuck. But the out and up they ran against the Lions last week, that was just a straight drop back, unpin the grenade, and throw it as far as you can, and have your receiver run faster than everybody, and it scores a touchdown. Because once you're going to see that once the Packers cross midfield, you'll see some of those launch balls, which is the shot play zone, and so that's a great point to bring up. Like, those deep passes can just be so susceptible to them. It's really, they've been relying on some turnovers with it. And I think the Bears corners that have had to play have actually had some moments. What's his face? The former guy from Nashawn Wright. Yeah. I can remember everything about his background except for his name. I can tell you what school he went to. I can tell you when he got drafted. I can tell you which round. I forget the names. That's how my life works. But no, I that's a great point. I think it's just that the Bears just, it's a tough ask going against this offense that's so explosive, and it's just going to keep coming at you, keep coming at you. So be interested, see how they hold up. Well, I think what we're getting at is a lot of outside throws for the Packers. A lot of stuff, a lot of outs and go balls to the outside, I think, is going to happen for the Packers.
I just wonder if they just come out guns blazing on offense, say, let's just go out there and take hacks. Because, when you're playing like just back and forth, the Bears, like, that's how they can kind of stay in the game. But let's give Micah Parsons a 2-touchdown lead before halftime and really make them play a different kind of game that they want to play. Right. Because I think that's maybe when you get a little discombobulated from.
If you haven't watched any Bears game this year and you watch only Friday, you kind of know what the strength of their offense is. The passing game is explosive, but the success rate wise, it's up and down. They're middle of the pack. I think some of that is going to get better. But at this point in time, week 14, year one of Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams, that just kind of has some inconsistencies because it's so aggressive. But if it's so aggressive and you stop the run, and then now you, like you say, you get to a 2-score game script, let Micah Parsons pin his ears back, changes things, and it changes everything. So very reliant on that. But anyways, Packers, almost a touchdown favorite, 6.5 points. Who are you going with in this predictions, Chuck?
Rolling with the Pack. Just think they got too much from on offense.
I think it's not that I'm low on the Bears. I understand how good the season has been. I think the Packers are just more of a complete team at this point in time. I think I am also going with the Packers. I think the Bears cover, though. I think this is close. But I do think the Pack.
Blown out.
Okay, perfect. We have something different here so far. I said this online, but I think the Packers are one of the true contenders in the NFL. They can run the ball. They can hit explosive passes. They don't take sacks. And on defense, they have a positive defense in terms of EPA and just eye test. They can stop the run enough. It's not the true strength, but enough to not be a true bugaboo against them. I consider the Packers like one of the top 3 teams. Like, I think it's Rams, Seahawks, Packers in some way, shape, or form. There's others, of course, but I not that I think the Bears are bad. I think the Bears are perfectly fine. I do not think they're the worst 9-3 team ever. I actually think the offense is very good, just not there yet with the defense yet. So going with the Packers. All right, we're gonna take our first break, and we'll come back with that final game we'll get lost in the sauce with, plus a big dog of the week. See you guys in a sec. All right, we are back. Our final game we're going to get lost in the sauce with. That is the Texans at the Chiefs at Arrowhead. The Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. Over under 41.5. So, we're getting there a little, that sub 40 there. But we're going to start with when the Texans have the ball. These two teams played twice last year, once in the regular season, once in the playoffs. For whatever reason, the game I remember, it was Aziz Al-Shaair wasn't playing. I think he was just the game before was the Jaguars incident with Trevor Lawrence. But anyways, that memory just came back to me literally as I said that. But anyways, Texans have the ball against this Chiefs defense. What are you focusing on this side of the ball, Charles?
CJ Stroud's pretty good. I think we should start there. Like, I think, yeah, it's because honestly, like it's not that I've never thought he was bad, but like he's been better than I thought in my head this season when he's played, because I just come to associate everything that touches the offense in Texans. So basically since his rookie year, it's just felt so bad. And I was getting a little tired of it. So I kind of grouped it all together. But they have like the top 10 passing game, like EPA wise this year. And what's really changed is like the running game has finally started to come together. Like it's such a big boost for them just not to be like the most feeble run game that you've ever seen. Like that the game that they play against the Seahawks where it made me want to like call for people's jobs, man. Like that's how bad it was. Like just with like the intention of like this being your O-line, some of the run calls, like how they were designed, where they were going, it was just so bad. But like over the past month, like they have one of the better rushing games in the league, and it's just totally changed like what's possible for them. It's like since week 10, they got their 7th in rushing success rate. That's a legitimate game changer. And like, if you can just be okay on offense, I think that this Chiefs defense is kind of gettable, because at least you're setting stuff up that you might be able to get to later on in the game and kind of attack some of those DBs that are a little bit vulnerable. It's not like the Chiefs are horrible against the rush. They over the past month, they've been 8th in EPA, 9th in success rate. When Chris Jones shows up and has his big boy moments, like he can still be really good. But the fact that it's functional for the Texans now, like, it just gives you a more complete picture to work with, because I do think like that Chiefs defense is obviously gettable. Like on the whole, hasn't been what you expect from them this season. In fact, like it's almost been like a little bit of an inverse of last year, like where the offense has been so good this year, but the defense been a little shaky, and you see they're playing a little bit more shootouts than maybe we're used to seeing for them. So I think that this week for the Texans, if you can run the ball and like stay focused on that, like you've still been getting pretty damn good quarterback play for the season, especially when CJ Stroud's been at the 6th EPA per dropback this year. You would think that he was like dying, and the Texans are going to have to find a new quarterback based on how people talk about him sometimes. And if he can do enough to kind of get after those DBs on the back end, which I think are still an area of weakness that the Chiefs are really going to have to seriously upgrade this offseason, there's a chance that it can score enough to keep things interesting for the defense. I still want to see them do it more often, because there was so much bad tape this year. But overall, like this year has not been as bad as maybe you would think for the Texans offense.
It's really come on like the last month. Yeah, I agree. And I think maybe just because Davis Mills was starting, and even in my brain, this might not be, I shouldn't admit this as an analyst sometimes. When the backup QB's in there, I'm not really keen on watching film with a backup QB in there. Like it's more like, oh, is this an interesting rookie or something? Not so much David. I mean, I thought Davis Mills was fine. I thought he played like a good backup when he was in there. But it's just also like, all right, what takeaways can I have? But man, this past month, once they figured out that line, Ariante Ursary, who we both liked in the draft, has been playing solid. I really like him at left tackle. Titus Howard has become one of my more favorite offensive linemen because of his versatility. He's at left guard. Jake Andrews, Ed Ingram is playing literally the worst guard in the NFL last year. I had some people ask me this week. They're like, because I posted an Ed Ingram clip, and a couple of people tweeted at me. They go, "Didn't you say he was bad with the Vikings?" I was like, he was bad with the Vikings. He was like the worst guard in the NFL.
He was horrendous. He was bad early this year too.
Yeah, I know. And he's like, now he's like fine. Like he's just fine. I'm not saying he's good, but he's not a true black hole where, oh my God, whoever like the right guard is for the Seahawks. Like this guy's making a mistake every snap, and you can just put you can put Chris Jones. Well, I do think Chris Jones will be against him every snap. Don't get me wrong. And then you got Trent Brown at right tackle. Yeah, no, I think Chris Jones is going to be over that right guard the entire game. Like if I were, I'm not Steve Spagnuolo, Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, but I do think that that's where I would kind of, be honed in on. But They figured this out. So this is week 10 when they kind of figured out this offensive line configuration. They're 15th in success rate overall, 7th in rushing success rate, like you said, the last month. 15th in EPA per play. They allow the 9th lowest pressure rate. And I thought last week against the Colts,
it's like the rankings are just so average. I wrote about it this week, but that's huge.
It's huge. It's a game changer. It's a conference changer because now the Texans, to me, are valid contenders. They went from, they make the playoffs maybe, and then lose in wild card round because their offensive line just gets obliterated. If they're just average, that is, in the AFC, that is as good as anybody right now. That's kind of like, and the inverse is kind of like talking about the Chiefs. The Chiefs offense is way better than people are giving them credit for. And then if the defense is just average, it's kind of like, I don't know, that makes them contenders to me if they make it to the dance. But last week against the Blitz, this is what stood out to me. I mentioned all the Colts stuff, talking about the Jags game too, but they were really trying to heat them up on third down, which I would too. The Texans running backs have been bad in protection too, but Woody Marks has been great as a rookie and a pretty solid, good runner. Again, this is all game changers for that. This is franchise changing. And so against the Blitz this year, he has nearly a 50% success rate, 0.14 EPA per dropback, which is good. He was great against the Colts. I talked about this with Matt a couple times, was that he's peppering more underneath. And I think that's because the receivers are so much better. You know, Nico Collins is Nico Collins, a true top 10 receiver. But Jaden Higgins has played well. And Jalen Noel hasn't been out there much, but I think he's going to be good. Christian Kirk, when he's been out there, he's been fine. Now they got the tight ends back. This is more competent than what it was for a while, for almost a year and 2 months. And when he's on the field, Woody Marks, the Texans only allow a 31% pressure rate, which would rank 4th in the NFL this season. Off the field, he's below average. And Stroud's taking the fewest sacks of his career as far as sack rate goes. He's scrambling more than he ever has in his career. He's scrambled 21 times this year. He scrambled 23 times his entire rookie year. Successful a whole high rate of them, 2/3 of the time. Now, I thought this was significant was last year. I wanted to see him more scramble more, and he started to at the end of the year. The Chiefs playoff game, when they played in the wild card game, he scrambled I wouldn't say a whole bunch, but like a half dozen times. But that's just a new element. Stroud before, it was like, all right, he's going to chuck it so you don't have to worry about scramble lanes. Well, if Steve Spagnuolo, who brings a bunch of blitzes, who's going to do some funky stuff, I don't know, like Stroud just has that new element in there. They just have more answers to this Chiefs defense than maybe they did a month ago or 6 weeks ago, where I thought it would be like, oh yeah, Chiefs are going to win this game. I don't care how good the defense is for the Texans because I just think they'll overwhelm them. Just more answers is just total game changer for them.
The Chiefs, like they're on an interesting, kind of a bad way run on defense. Because I think you like when you look at their numbers for they're on a 1-3 slide right now. They lost out of a bye week against the Broncos, which is when I was like, oh, they might have used up all their dark magic last year and then just need to reset and refill the storages in the offseason. But since week 9, since their 1-3 slide has started, the only win they have is over the Colts in overtime. They've played Buffalo, Denver, Indianapolis, and Dallas. And to be fair, that's a gauntlet of offenses over a 4-week span. But still, in that span, the 29th EPA per play, 31st in EPA per dropback. Their sack rate is just abysmal at 3.6%. Since week 9, if you cut that down to week 10, just the past 3 games, they got a 1.8% sack rate. Dude, you don't even need a good offensive line to stay up against that. If you're getting that little pressure, you have to pull guys out of coverage. So I do think there's room for a bounce back performance here from the Chiefs because the Texans offense, it's average. It's not where the Cowboys are now, especially. It's not, Josh Allen. It's not what the Broncos or even the Colts have been. But it still worries me a little bit that they just feel like they've kind of run out of steam, personnel-wise a little bit, and they just need some more blue chips back into their defense. Because Spags is great, but if our players are better than yours, then that's probably just going to play out over time. And I think that the Texans should be now just competent enough where they don't get totally savaged by whatever plans Spags has for them.
No, I agree, and that's even you just mentioned the sack rate, and you can definitely feel that because that's people are getting on Chris Jones, but Chris Jones is winning a lot right at the snap of the ball, but nobody else wins. So he wins, and then he's just standing in front of the quarterback. Quarterback gets rid of the ball or scrambles, or the run back gets up the field, or just makes a miss, and no one else is winning. So no one else can actually get there and create the play. But that's just one thing. And I even just looked at blitz rate, or not just blitz rate, but when the Chiefs blitz. And I think this is kind of, every team's different. But I think for the Chiefs with Steve Spagnuolo, like the health of their defense is really, the blitzing is indicative of how the rest of the kind of unit is going. And this is the worst passing success rate Spags and the Chiefs defense have allowed when they blitzed. So they've allowed, I always have to do the numbers backwards because it's defense success rate. So they've allowed a 48.8% success rate on passes when they blitzed this year. 2 years ago, when they won the Super Bowl and that defense was really cooking, it was 10% fewer than that. So it's 38%. It was which is outstanding. EPA per pass allowed. They've allowed 0.15 EPA per pass when they blitz this year. 0.20 and above is usually about MVP levels. So nearly at MVP levels, 0.15 when they blitz this year. When they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they've allowed a negative 0.21 EPA per dropback allowed, which is like JJ McCarthy this year. Like that. So they basically have gone from, when they blitz, they went from a defense that turned quarterbacks into JJ McCarthy to turning quarterbacks into Jordan Love. That's essentially what they have done this year against the blitz. They allow 7.9 yards per play when they blitz this year. Last year, or when they won the Super Bowl, it was 4.2 yards per play when they blitzed. It's just one after another. Sack rate, 4.1% when they blitz this year. 9.8% 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. So half of what they had. So they're getting gashed. They're not getting sacks. And that is, for different than most defense coordinators, that is their fastball. So the fact that their fastball went from 102 miles an hour to 94 and the teams can just crank it 400 feet. Okay, well, now we have to stop the run because then we can't blitz. Oh, wow, now you guys can run on us too? All right, well, now we got a third and long. Okay, we'll just rush forward because blitzing's not working. Well, who's winning? I like Carl Loftus. I think he's getting ragged on a little too much, but I do think that too. He's not winning. No one else is winning. They're bringing back all these other guys, these former retreads. Yeah, I don't know. Just it feels pretty incomplete. And I think the Texans actually match up better with them than I would have thought a few weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago. So, I think it's just when your fastball is not your fastball, it changes a lot. This is like the Eagles' offense. Hey, they can't run the ball now. That's why it feels so much worse. That's why it all feels worse. All right, let's get to the other side of the ball. Patrick Mahomes, this Chiefs offense, without their two starting tackles going against the Texans defense, which might be the best in the game, with the best pair of pass rushers in the game that don't really do anything tricky. They'll do some stuff on passing downs, but really they're just going to line up and beat you. And it's pretty awesome. What do you think about this side of the ball? This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Not the easiest matchup for the Chiefs.
I feel bad about what my reaction was when I saw Mahomes' offensive line was banged up this week. So I was like, oh, let's go. Like this is what I want to see it. Like, I just want to see it because he's good enough to survive, which is the coolest part about this matchup. And I fell down this rabbit hole a few days ago with the Texans pass rush because I'm sitting there just laughing at like some of these stats. I'm going back through the film. It's just like 4-man rush, just carnage from Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. But I noticed, I was like, man, like, there's like if you don't get the guy on the ground on like these plays where they're getting pressure, it kind of seems like teams are still able to make something shake a little bit. And I was right. So when the Texans get pressure, when the Texans get pressure, they are, they're like actually middle of the pack when it comes to defending passes that are thrown when they get pressure. They're at the 26th in explosive pass rate. And we've talked about like we've talked about before more in like a run defense perspective, but you have like some of these one gap defenses where they're just like, all right, go guys, just go get them. Sometimes it gets so chaotic up front that there's opportunities for the offense to break free and go get explosives from them. And that actually happens a lot on the Texans defense. Like it's almost like to me, it almost feels like an effect is like compounding on itself where they get pressure so often, like a third and fourth down, when Danielle Hunter and Lil sit up the field, getting pressure like 50% of their dropbacks. That's really untenable to play against. But sometimes the carnage, like it happens so quick that things on the back end are not quite set up yet. Or maybe the quarterback is getting used to getting pressure so early, so he's already looking for that second play downfield because the first one, I'm going to get killed if I stick with this. Mahomes, under pressure, 14.1% explosive pass rate this year. That's like a higher explosive pass rate than the Texans defense is giving up. Like, those are both some of the best and worst marks in the league. So I want to see, like, when they have these plays that they're going to be under pressure, which they will, because it's backup tackles going against one of the craziest two-man pass rushers we've seen over the past few years. Can Mahomes just kind of stay up and find some of these big explosive plays on the back end? Because that might be the only way you're really moving the ball like consistently. Because when they don't get pressure, honestly, the Texas defense is a little bit better. Fortunately, well, not unfortunately, but that doesn't really happen too often for them when they don't get pressure. So you're kind of looking at this sample size is actually pretty big because of how often they get pressure when they have those two guys on the field.
Right.
And if Mahomes can just stay up and not, just get completely killed by those guys, there's opportunities to just go get that second play, chunk play down the field because they're swarmed so fast that it can be a detriment to the guys behind those sometimes.
Yeah, that can happen sometimes where guys, especially when they get a little excited. You see this happen a lot against rookie quarterbacks because they're so all week, the defensive coaches and players are going, we're going to light this guy up. This kid doesn't know the NFL. We're going to blitz him. We're going to run him. And then you see all this chaos. And then there's Jackson Dart breaking contain and running for 20 yards. Like, you just see it happen all the time. It's such a funny thing. It's such a human psychology thing where it's just, they get too excited. Like, just, they finally catch it. God, I was just thinking of Tommy Boy there.
Well, JJ McCarthy's had some moments this year where he gets scared. Oh, there's someone just go throw it.
Yes. Yep. That's it. I actually just looked too because I was looking at outside the pocket rates. We're talking about the Texans defense, Chiefs offense, but talk about CJ Stroud scrambling and breaking contain. The Chiefs, when the quarterback has broke the pocket, they've allowed a 20% explosive play rate or explosive pass rate this year when the quarterback breaks the pocket. 1 out of 5. Remember I mentioned Jordan Love leads the league in that? Yeah, that's what they turn into quarterbacks. But anyways, I looked at last year's matchups between us, Andy Reid, D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico's kind of doing the same stuff. Most of the personnel is the same. And the Mahomes didn't complete a single pass over 20 air yards. I want to say he only completed 2, and this is 2 matchups, only 2 over 15 air yards. It was a lot of side-to-side stuff, a lot of backfield stuff from the Chiefs, like where it was either like a full house backfield or a receiver doing some split back stuff and running bubbles, which I thought was interesting because you got to think of what the Texans major in, which is quarters and man coverage. Those two things actually make sense. All right, if it's man and we have a receiver in the backfield, that whoever's the corner has to come into the box on them. If it's zone and they run quarters, we can do some bubble stuff. There's a lot of bubbles, a lot of screens, a lot of side-to-side stuff, get their guys moving side to side. I thought that was just interesting kind of how they went about it. In the playoff game last year, the Chiefs had a 50% rushing success rate and a 37.5% passing success rate. I remember it was tight. And they were getting all the pressure because you had last year, you got to remember who the Chiefs tackles were. Remember, it was Joe Thuney at left tackle. So you kind of had, and Caliendo at left guard. So you kind of had like a nice game to watch, because it was like, hey, they went through this last year. How's it going to go this year? They didn't really pass the ball that well. I'm curious if they have to give a lot more. And then and this is the thing, this is the math changing, like, just provide chip help. All right, well, if we're going to chip help both tackles, both plays, now we only have 3 guys on the pass route.
Right.
And they're going against Derek Stingley, some of the best coverage defenders in the NFL. So it's just, Chiefs are in a pretty tough spot here going against, some of the things they want to get to. This is something I brought up on the Sunday show because I noticed Josh Downs was getting some catches for the Colts. When the Texans are in man coverage, though, and I did notice this in the playoff game last year, they were really peppering stuff to the slot. So all that bubble stuff I mentioned, that's part of it. When the Texans are in man coverage, they're 30th in success rate allowed on targets to the slot. They allow 65% success rate, which is super high. So we saw in that game, you saw some wheel routes stuff to just attack the slot. So I think that's how the Chiefs are kind of going to go about this, is attack the slot and really just have some more backfield action. Maybe you can capture the linebackers, try and slow down the edge players because you maybe have a jet sweep action or something come to their side. I think it's just going to be a lot of side to side stuff to help out the quarterback, help out the offensive line. Because, man, you're going against, if Myles Garrett didn't exist, Will Anderson's probably Defensive Player of the Year or up there. And then you got Danielle Hunter, who's got 100-something sacks. Like, it's so tough. But there are answers. You can run on them. You can target the slot. It's just hard to get there down to down.
Yeah. Well, even just think about like what I'm proposing for the Mahomes this game. Like, okay, the play is when you see Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter running straight at you. Actually, the good quarterback starts like a 20% explosive play rate. If you can get the ball off, you might be able to do something.
Yeah.
Because I just
stand in front of a train and then jump out of the way right at the last second.
Right, last second, dude. Because I just pinned these all together. Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, some of the best offenses, best quarterbacks in the league this year. They have a 19% explosive pass rate under pressure when Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are on the field. Now, they did still face a 47% pressure rate. A 47% pressure rate on these plays. And it's negative EPA.
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50. It's negative EPA, for the most part. Actually, the only person who had positive EPA against pressure when those guys were on the field was Matthew Stafford. But they all had high explosive pass rates in that game. Even that, as terrible as that game looked at times for Josh Allen, they were still able to find chunks through the air just by kind of living off of the carnage those guys make. Again, you still have to survive. And they're getting sacked a lot. But if you can stay up, sometimes there's going to be moments outfield. Because I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. They're so good against everything else. Even the run defense is so crazy. The fact that Sheldon Rankins has kind of turned into this version of himself that he is now, because he was supposed to be the super explosive, get up the field 3 technique, and then all the injuries kind of cut it down right as he was starting to peak and become a borderline 10 sack guy off the interior. But now he's just old head, rock in the middle that's kind of holding everything down for the run defense.
Dad strength.
He's got that strength with the Zoomers, sprinting outside. So it's just so much to handle. But I do think Mahomes is built to live like that. Any other quarterback I'd be saying, oh, no, this is too much. But that guy, it's pretty good.
So basically we're summing it up. Pepper some runs and Mahomes be a hero. That which kind of feels like the Chiefs formula anyways. But yeah, we'll see. No, there's a lot. Even they tackle well. So it's not where I go, oh, Rashee Rice, pepper that. Maybe it's a bunch of Rashee Rice bubbles. We didn't get that last year. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's quick hitters or Rashee Rice from the slot or something like that. Maybe that's the answer, but it's tough. Before we get into predictions, the Texans are currently a 60% chance to make the playoffs. If they win, it gets up to 83%. If they lose, it drops to 45%. Still a coin flip. Chiefs right now, 34% according to Next Gen Stats. If they win, it gets up to 49%, which is a coin flip. If they lose, drops all the way down to 11%. So I would say that the Chiefs got to have it, and the Texans kind of need it. That's how I'll put it. Yeah. Predictions, though. Chiefs 3.5-point favorites. Who are you going with, Charles?
I'm rolling with the Chiefs. Texans cover. I think dude, Mahomes has been so good this year.
I know
the Chiefs' offense has been ridiculously good this year. Basically since that first blowout game against Baltimore, week 3 or week 4, they've been the best offense in football. Almost 3 points per drive, averaging way more first downs than anybody else. And I think that just the overall structure, even without the offensive tackles, when you have Mahomes and he's playing this well, he's still been a top 3 quarterback this year. That's going to be enough to pull it out at the end. But man, it's I cannot freaking wait for this game. I
can't either. And Chiefs had a little mini bye. Got to remember that. They got the extra couple days from playing on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. So I'm also going with the Chiefs. But having said that, I really do. I mean it when I say I feel good about the Texans. I feel good about these two teams in the weirdest way in the AFC. And I feel much better about the Texans than I did a month ago. And I really do think that they can make a run. Just that whole gotta have it. Chiefs need this game more than anybody. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. And I think they it's a kitchen sink game for them. For the rest of the way, it's a playoff game for them the rest of the way, every single week. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I'll say Texans cover. I'll just join you on that one. I'll say Texans cover, but I can't wait for this game because it's just imperfect teams, but some true strengths, some true stars in this game. Can't wait to watch that. Some really good coaching too. All right. Enough with the loss in the sauce. We're going to get to our big dog of the week. This is a big underdog that we think has a shot. It's been a little bit. There we go. Little pop there. Bengals.
Let's see.
At Buffalo.
You get a dog or something?
At the Bills. Did you like that? The little dog barking?
Yeah.
The Bills, or I should say, because we're going dog, the Bengals are 5.5 point underdogs. The over-under for this game is 53.5. Strap in. Burrow versus Josh Allen. All right. How we're going to frame this. How do you think the Bengals could pull off this upset? Not only just cover, but win the game as nearly a touchdown underdog. Charles, what is your thought on that?
Blue chips. You have your good plays be really good. I mean, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, like those guys are a lot better. Like on paper than the Bills' defense, just talent wise. I know the Bills' defense has played well this year, and I do think like they've, at least versus the pass, like they have a much more
against the pass,
maybe credible
against the pass, because that's going to be my point here.
Yes, against the pass. But like dude, the Bengals, they're going to air it out no matter what. Even last week against the Ravens, it wasn't pretty. Threw it 46 times. I would imagine they're still going to try it again this week. And if those guys, your best players, if they can like just play like your best players, they have a chance in this one. I think that's probably going to be their path to victory. And they even had like some nice moments running the ball, like when Joe Flacco was under center. Even last week against the Ravens, it was pretty good. So maybe they're a little bit more complete offense than they were at the start of the season than last year. So, you know, it's a more well-rounded fight than you think, but you still need your blue chips to play like blue chips.
I started this one. I'm actually kind of glad how we framed this one too. Nice job, Stone, producer Stone. Is the Bengals offensive line is much better than people realize. That is my big takeaway from reviewing them, especially last week and a couple of recent games. I actually think I would even say they're quality. I would even say they're kind of borderline up there, top 10-ish. I really have liked the offensive line coach, Scott Peters. He came from the Patriots last year, and we talked about this a bunch. They were well coached. They just sucked. It was like practice squad, 4-string center off the street. But I also thought their scheme was fine. They just had a lot of botches. But this year, everybody's getting a little better. Marius Mims, guy that we both loved in the draft process, is like good now. He's a good right tackle. He's gigantic. Him and Orlando Brown are gigantic. He's allowed a lower one-on-one pressure rate than Christian Darrisaw, than Andrew Thomas, a few other guys that I looked up, but he's, has really good numbers in that regard. But you can really feel the offensive line in the run game. And I think there's some stats that you can look at as far as just like total yardage, but just even efficiency wise in the eye test, it's really sound. It's really physical, which that's what this run game has kind of become because they spread it out a ton, especially with Burrow back. But then they just run it and pound it, a lot of double teams. Since week 6, this is when Joe Flacco started his first game for the Bengals. The Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals, are third in rushing success rate in the entire NFL, only behind the Bears, who I won't shut up about in their run game, and the Colts, who we both won't shut up about their run game. They're second in explosive run rate in the entire NFL. And that's not including, they don't have quarterback runs. So it's just running backs. You're getting these runs. They're fourth in EPA per rush too. They're behind the Colts, Bears, Rams, and just above the Bills. I mean, those are legit run games and they are right there in there. Of course, I just mentioned Amarius Mims. Dalton Risner has been playing right guard for them, which has helped it's helped a little bit because they had Jalen Rivers starting there before. But then also their left guard, Dylan Fairchild, former Georgia Bulldog. They got a couple of Georgia Bulldogs on the offensive line. He's really come along. That was always the thing with him. He was talented. It was just he was raw. And I think he was a former wrestler. And then now you get good coaching and you got some solid around you, and you can really see him kind of coming along. Right?
Yeah. I was thinking the weird part is that Georgia's O-line has been pretty damn good this year. It's like, what the hell happened?
I know they lost all the talent. They became better. I know.
Yeah. They got some freshmen that we are going to be talking about in a couple years. I promise you that.
Okay.
Big boys. Yeah.
They have for now 6 years have had probably the all bus team with an offensive line. Like they get off the bus and it's just like, oh my God. It's just
Isaiah Wilson.
Amarius Mims was one of those guys. Yeah. I mean, they've had a few, but this is a legit, very good run game that has, of course, the passing game prowess and everything. And I do think the Bills defense, so this is why I kind of caught you there, or you corrected yourself. They are good against the pass. They are. The numbers bear this out. The eye test bears this out. They have really come along. Their safeties are a little bit better. The corner play has been better. Getting Hairston back when he's been out there. Run game wise, though, they stink. They absolutely stink against the run. They're not very big. I mean, Daquan Jones is out there, but they're not very good against the run. 28th in rushing success rate allowed, 31st in yards per run allowed, 5.2 yards per run allowed, 31st in EPA per rush allowed, 32nd in explosive runs allowed, 12.6%, 30th in DVOA against the run. This defense, this is the biggest why I can't get over the hill or the hump with my Bills analysis and how high I want to get them, because I do trust the offense, even if Bills fans are always unhappy with it. They can run, and they got Josh freaking Allen. They got decent receivers. They can do it. The run game, if you can't stop the run, I am so hesitant about where I can put you up and how high I can rank you. And this is a definite blemish for them. And I think scheme-wise, they do what they do. They're just not big. And I don't think the safeties are good enough to close down. They're much better against the pass. They have good eyes against the pass. But as far as playing two-way and coming up and playing the run, not as good. The spine just isn't big and strong and stout. Going against this run game, I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to be like, yeah, let's chuck it 40 times like we did last week. But I think they could have a nice kind of game script for them. So that's why this is the underdog of the week. And I think they're a live dog. I know the Bengals playoff chances kind of been a little over exaggerated, I think, by some people. They're at 4%. If they win, it goes up to 8%. And if they lose, it's basically they're down 1%. And then the Bills are at 88%. If they lose 76%, it goes up to 95%. But I do think the Bengals, even outside Joe Burrow, and I know we didn't talk about the Bengals defense, which is also a big part of this, but that Bengals run game has a clear advantage, huge advantage against this Bills run defense. So that's why I kind of had him as the big dog of the week, and that's the angle that I'm going with there. Any last parting thoughts?
No, this could be fun. I think this could be a red zone classic.
Yeah.
Red zone classic, yeah.
I think we got, two awesome quarterbacks. Oh, and Joey Bosa did not participate in practice on Wednesday. That also bears mentioning because he's been great this year, but if he's not playing, that's significant as well. T. Higgins was a limited participant as well. All right. We're going to take our final break, and we'll come back with the cheat sheet, Hail Marys, and that'll be it. I'll see you guys in a sec. We are back. It's time for the cheat sheet. Cheat sheet is a little mini lost in the sauce. It's just one key matchup to watch, something that we're looking out for. We'll start with the Eagles and the Chargers, two teams. The Eagles are 94% chance to make the playoffs, so they're in it. And the Chargers are at 63%. If they lose, they're at 53%. If they win, they're at 79% or 78%. I'm blind, 78%. Need to get my eyes checked. But Chargers 2.5 point favorites, 2.5 point underdogs at LA. It's Monday Night Football. What is your one cheat sheet item for this game, Chuck?
Move the game. Flex this out, man. I'm tired of watching the Chargers. No, but I think there's maybe a little bit of a poison pill here for the Eagles because Jalen Carter's out. He had a procedure on his shoulder.
Both shoulders.
Both shoulders, right. Don't know what the timetable is there. Yeah, some people noted him today. He played a lot of snaps for them over the past 2 years. A lot.
Yes,
so, man, I think it's probably a stretch too far to say like that's why it happened, but maybe they look on kind of reducing that workload with some offseason additions this year. But I think if he's going to be out, maybe they can muck it up and make it somewhat of a game. But man, the Chargers, they're just so banged up. And I think you saw it last week, or not last week, but when they played Jacksonville 2 weeks ago. I think the competent teams probably just have a little bit too much for them right now. Yeah, you can go beat the Raiders, but I don't think they have enough for the Eagles. So I would take the win and cover.
Okay, I'm my little item on it, and I'm with you a little bit, is that even though I think the Eagles are, have their weekly drama, the Chargers literally don't have an offensive line that can function fully. But I did look. I was like, all right, Jalen Carter's out. And every team, this is the thing with the Eagles defense, is that I don't think they're great against stopping the run. Different teams have gotten after them in different ways. I feel like I brought up a different run concept every time. It's like, oh, this team could go zone against them. This team can run duo against them. The linebackers, I think Nakobe Dean's been a little iffy against the run. And Zach Bond is, it's not like a true strength for him. He's a very useful player, but like sideline to sideline run play isn't his strength, and especially paired with Dean. And I looked and I was like, all right, because I noticed a couple teams did this. The Bears did mostly zone, but they did a little a counter play against them. And I noticed that the Rams, when they played them, they did a counter play against them. And then I know the Chargers love counter, love pulling players. Greg Roman's addicted to it. He thinks he still has 2010 Stanford, to run all these plays, like, and to pull all these guys. And I have, sure enough, on FTN, where you can look at some run scheme stuff, the Chargers have pulled a blocker on the third most run attempts this season in the NFL. They average 5.4 yards per carry, which is fourth, 17th in success rate, which is actually good for them. 9 explosive runs, which is tied for the most. And that's significant because Amarian Hampton is back, their first round draft pick for the Chargers. Then I looked. Eagles, how are you against guys that are pulling, or run scheme that's pulling? They allow a 50% rushing success rate on those, which is not good. It is not good. I believe that was the second highest rate allowed, and not a ton of explosives, though. So I will give them that. So look for some pullers, because I think that's what the Chargers are going to get to. I think especially with Jalen Carter out, you're not as worried about the down blocks, even with some backup tackles and everything. But also passing-wise, and I keep mentioning this, it's just whoever... For the Eagles' pass defense, which is still good, I mean, Cooper DeJean is amazing. I was looking it up, like targets to the slot. I think the Eagles only allow like a 30-something% success rate. And it's like, oh, that's a Cooper DeJean stat all the way. Like they're first easily. I looked at DVOA, which again is on FTN, and they you can look at by receiver. So receiver 1, receiver 2, receiver 3, tight end, how they kind of do. And this is why I keep mentioning this. Is Quinion Mitchell, all-pro, first team all-pro this year. Cooper DeJean, an all-pro in some caliber, probably second team to me. I got to think this real through about at slot. Then there's, Adoree Jackson as the third corner. And he can kind of get targeted. He can get peppered a little bit against receiver 1s. The Eagles, second in DVOA. Against receiver 3s, which they categorize as a slot, third in DVOA. They only allow 27 yards per game. Against tight ends, first in DVOA. Only allow 40 yards per game, the fifth fewest. Against receivers, Receiver 2, how they categorize it on FTN, 26th in DVOA, 72.7 yards per game. Some teams this wouldn't matter as much. Cowboys, it definitely mattered because they have this guy George Pickens and they have CeeDee Lamb. The Chargers have 3 very valid receivers. Fantasy wise, it's annoying who's going to get it, but I think that whoever Adoree Jackson is guarding, that's who the Chargers should target, and I think they will target. So whoever is in the slot, it's kind of a lost cause because of Cooper DeJean, whether it's Ladd or Keenan Allen. But also, if they get Adoree Jackson matched up with Ladd or matched up with Quentin Johnston, maybe they attack him vertically. So that's kind of my little tidbit for this game is whoever Adoree Jackson is guarding, whether the Chargers target him, Justin Herbert targets them, because I think that's a clear path for not only them, but any team playing the Eagles defense this year. Predictions. Eagles, 2.5-point favorites on the road.
Eagles, go Eagles.
I'm also going Eagles. Even if I think they're imperfect, I am also going them. All right. Last one, cheat sheet. AFC North battle. I feel like this team plays every week. Steelers, Ravens. Ravens are 5.5-point favorites at home. Over under is 42.5. What's your cheat sheet item for this game, Chuck?
The cheat sheet item is don't do that again, Aaron. He was so bad last week against Buffalo. Oh, unwatchably bad. And then like throwing everybody under the bus during the week was just bizarre.
Everybody.
As if like
happy holidays, Aaron Rodgers.
Are some film sessions going to give you the fountain of youth? Like what's going on here? I don't get it. But the Ravens, like they're not in the right way either. Like Lamar Jackson is basically not practicing anymore. But which I just have to imagine if they weren't in the playoff race still, like leading their division, he'd probably be shut down at this point. But he still got stuff to play for, so he's going to go out there. But he's not at his best self. So my cheat sheet item is this: if you can find maybe something a little more entertaining to do than watch Aaron Rodgers and a hobbled Lamar Jackson roam around out there, and maybe go do something else. But I really have no feel on like the over, under, or the spread on this game, because if Lamar is going to be like in this capacity, shoot, they lost by 20 points to the damn Bengals last week. I don't know. They're just like in no man's land as far as things go. The run game hasn't been nearly as good. So I don't know. 5.5 feels a little high, but I also watched the Steelers last week, so I don't know. They both feel so bad right now. They just both feel awful.
That rewatching that Bengals Ravens game, it was, on film. I started watching it and Lamar had a couple creation moments. I'm like, man, was I too hard on him? Like I was saying, man, he looks off. And then you watch the game go. I've never seen Lamar miss so many throws in a game where he's just actually clean and just throwing it. Like he just had sprays. Like that happens with quarterbacks. Sometimes you just are off. But again, it's like seeing Xerxes bleed in 300 where you're just like, what? Yeah. Like, what the hell? Like, everybody has a miss. Yeah. But when you have 4, 5, 6 clear misses, where I'm even watching them going like, what was that? Was sprays high, sprays far? That to me is like, okay, that's something's not right. And he did have a couple creation moments. Again, he had some running moments, which hopefully he does because that's a big part of his game. But you're going against this defense. And this has been always something under Tomlin. I mean, at least since I've been in media, is that they're really good against quarterback runs and really good against scrambles. So he has to win from the pocket. And I don't think the Steelers defense is perfect. The Bills ran all over them, but I don't think the Ravens run game is perfect. I think that they haven't been efficient. It's just they rely on big explosive plays, which they still can get to. But I thought it was significant. I'm watching that Bengals defense. And anytime the Ravens went two backs, with like an I formation run, Bengals teed off on it. Like there must have been some indicator, some tell, some tendency that they had. I know it's a division matchup, but so are the Steelers. This is another division matchup. And I'm watching it, I'm like, man, anytime Ricard was in that fullback spot or, in that kind of formation, they got him. Like I think they had one play action play where they had one good play off of it. But run game wise, they just kind of stifled it every time, which is like, okay, these teams are figuring out this. And when that run game's not popping for 42%, 40% rushing success rate, and it's more 30%, 35%, those are 4, 5, 6 runs that create 4, 5, 6 better opportunities for Lamar to be Lamar. And I think the receiver game, like other teams, I could just go, yeah, just target whoever Joey Porter Jr. is not targeting. Ha, ha, ha. Is Zay Flowers striking fear in you right now? Is Rashad Bateman striking fear in you right now? Is DeAndre Hopkins striking fear in you right now? Not really. They're all fine players. Bateman's just finally come back from injury. But it's not like, I don't know, those guys aren't really kind of like terrifying me. So it's just they're in a weird spot right now. I do think the defensive improvement is real. Like I do think there is a lot going on there. I think you can run on them a little bit. But I do think Malachi Starks had some cool moments last week. And I do think they figured out their dime personnel. Alohi Gilman, what the hell? Like actually plays good. Like, which is, I laughed at that trade, but actually been really good for the Ravens defense. So their dime stuff's really good. But then they go against the Steelers, who are going to trot out a whole bunch of tight ends. So it's kind of I don't know. Ravens usually that wouldn't bother me that much, but they're just in a weird spot right now. And on top of it, I'm also my one Steelers kind of tidbit. People complaining like, oh, Mike Tomlin forces his quarterbacks to be safe and not throw over the middle. Your quarterbacks, that's how they play. Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw over the middle. Russell Wilson doesn't throw over the middle. Justin Fields doesn't throw over the middle. And Matt Canada didn't work over the middle before Arthur Smith got there. So all that throwing over the middle complaints, that's your quarterbacks. That's not Arthur Smith wants to throw dig route after dig route after dig route after dig route. The quarterbacks just don't kind of combine with that, which is why I always thought this matchup was weird. So I just had to kind of get that off my chest. Predictions for this one. I know Ravens are 5.5 point favorites.
That's Steelers.
I know this is a shrug for me too.
Yeah, Steelers. Just I don't know if the Ravens are 5 point better than anybody right now.
I think Ravens win, Steelers cover, but I feel not good about that one at all. But yeah, I'll probably get more from this game, more takeaways from this game than better than my.
I'll predict a tie.
Is that your Hail Mary?
No,
that should be the Hail Mary.
Not my Hail
Mary. All right. Well, it's time. Let's get to those Hail Marys right now. Hail Marys. This is where we throw up a prayer of prediction. Stone, how are we doing this year? Chime in here.
I think it's about 1. Well, yeah.
Okay, I have 2. Chuck has 1. Charles, what's your Hail Mary this week?
Okay, this is back to the point that we were talking about earlier in the Chiefs-Texans breakdown. Chiefs' potential for big plays during duress. My Hail Mary this week. Chiefs get a 50-yard passing play when Mahomes is under pressure. 150-yard passing play under pressure this week. Some Heath, Xavier Worthy or something like
he's thrown to the right, he's on the ground.
Yep.
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 I can already picture it.
Chiefs, 50-yard pass under duress.
Love that. Love that. All right. Mine's in the NFC South, actually. So the Bucs will force 2 or more interceptions against Tyler Shuck. This is a lot of praise for Tyler Shuck this week, which I think he has had some nice moments, but kind of crazy how much people are talking about that game against the Dolphins. But I think the Bucs are going to start feeling themselves a little bit. They're getting a little healthier. So I think I think this is not a great matchup for a rookie quarterback going against Todd Bowles. I always think that's a thing. And I think the Bucs know where they're at. I think they're reared up and ready to go. So I'm going to go with they're going to force 2 or more interceptions this week. All right, Chuck, that was a doozy. That was worthy of a week 14 right there. We're closing it out today. We'll be back alive to recap week 14 Sunday, right after the late afternoon games, right before Sunday Night Football. So please come hang out. It's a lot of fun. There was a bunch of you in there last time, and that was a ton of fun. I'm Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice. That's Charles McDonald. You can find him at 4Verts. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us, pretty please, wherever you get your podcasts, or watch us on YouTube. And watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. You can check out that live show on Sunday there. Please join us there. I also have some breakdown videos now up on YouTube. Producer Stone has done a phenomenal job of animating those. We did one on the Texans pass protection and Woody Marks against the Colts last week. Yes, the Texans offensive line and pass protection is what I broke down, but it was good. It was really good. But thanks to Stone, Austin Madison behind the scenes for making us look and sound good. Thank you all for listening. Have a great weekend. See you guys next time.